Here with Tom Miller, Grand Forks Herald beat writer for the University of North Dakota football. And Tom, we weren't sure what we were going to see specifically out of North Dakota when they hit the field for the first time at Nebraska. There was a lot of players that were getting their feet wet for the first time. I think offensive line was the position group we were probably paying attention to most, and for the most part they held up throughout the course of the game against a big, strong physical front.
Yeah, that's probably the largest positive takeaway from that game is that you weren't quite sure what a Sam Hagan at tackle or a Danny Carroll at center or Peyton Lotus at guard. You didn't really know exactly how they were going to respond in a situation that wasn't even just Division I college football. It was 86,000 people Division I college football. So not having those guys really melt down was pretty important, I think, for this team as you look forward, because that was a huge ask to ask three guys to make their debuts in that environment.
It was hard to keep track of who was all on the field on Saturday because they were rotating 2 or 3 guys at every position throughout the course. Jason Coley showed up a couple times. We saw some other newcomers get on field and make some plays. It's going to be interesting to find out how the snap count goes throughout the course of this season with this group, because a lot of different guys I thought showed out on Saturday.
Yeah, and the decisions are going to get a lot tougher, I think, because the travel roster size will shrink as those conference road trips come. And so there's going to be some tough choices to make. They brought a lot of safeties that got some different play. They brought a lot of wide receivers, and that decision is going to be tougher. So, I think we learned a few things, but I think this Northern Iowa game is really going to tell us where they're headed in playing time.
Yeah, and the 2 tailbacks, Tyler Hoosman and Isaiah Smith, both getting some carries. Both were productive as well. Looking ahead to Northern Iowa. First time that they've come to Grand Forks in a long time, like decades, and this is traditionally a team that in the Valley that is going to be a tough game every time you play against them. They're coming off a game where they didn't play particularly well, especially on the defensive side. It's curious how this matchup is going to go in such an early part of the schedule, early part of the season to play a team like this.
Yeah, that's very kind of a head scratcher. Northern Iowa, kind of the MO that I get from around the league is that they're the type of physical defense that should be able to stop the run, and clearly that's not what happened out in Air Force. But is that one of those cases where is the triple option so unique that it was a schematic problem and not a personnel problem? That'll be something that I'll be watching for. But you have to think that North Dakota's going in there saying they gave up 500 plus yards rushing. What can we do running the football here, and see if they can emulate some of the success that Air Force had against that Northern Iowa defense.
You hate to put too much emphasis early in the season, but when you're playing a league game at home, neither team wants to obviously start 0-2 with the road ahead. Do you make a huge deal out of this game? Do you try to just prepare for it like it's another game? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people know this is a big game. I think people realize that this one was circled, that it was Potato Bowl, which seems to mean something in Grand Forks. It's a conference game, and it's early, but I think when you start kind of looking at how the schedule shapes up, how you get to have a playoff resume, I think that you've got to win this game, because usually you've got the upper hand at the Alaris Center in some of these 50-50 matchups in the Missouri Valley, and you're going to have to pick off Northern Iowa, because it doesn't get much easier as it plays out.
Yeah, 2 hungry teams taking the field here at the Alaris Center. Should be a fun one. We're looking forward to it, Tom. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be fun.